Hello and welcome back to In the Corner. I'm Cash. Today we're here with episode 69, and today is the day. It's July 11th. Tonight we see the trilogy. Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano will meet Madison Square Garden on Netflix for the third and final time to close out what is one of the greatest rivalries in boxing history, the biggest women's card of all time. You can make an argument, women or men, for the greatest fight card of all time. They have the Guinness World Record for 17 world titles in play tonight across 5 fights, which is crazy. You throw in the Ring Magazine belts and you throw in the WBC interim title fight between Jessica Kamara and Chantel Cameron, then you have 22 championships in total. It's crazy. We've never seen anything like this. It's going to be a phenomenal event. Today's episode, we're going to break down the whole card. We're going to talk about a ton of news that's been going on. We're going to talk about the other fights that are going on this weekend. But tomorrow, we're going to do another episode breaking down what happens with Taylor Serrano 3. And that's when we'll do a full deep dive on, of course, the Ring Magazine 3 card. Edgar Berlanga, Hamza Shirash, of course, Stevenson Williams Zepeda, all that, because we still have the weigh-in to do there. There could be something crazy happening there. We'll also talk about the press conference for David Benavidez, Anthony Yarde, Devin Haney, Brian Orman Jr. tomorrow. In that episode as well. But for today, let's jump right into it and do what you all clicked on this for. Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano. Who wins? You know, it's tough to say because this is a trilogy where it doesn't feel like it's as simple as the results say. You look at the first fight. Katie Taylor wins the fight. Very close fight. I had it a draw, but you could give it to Taylor. You could give it to Serrano, but I think that it's okay to say Taylor won that fight over Serrano. But even then, it's like a little bit like, yeah, you know, like we weren't super confident in that. You go to the second fight, Taylor gets the decision. In my opinion, that's a robbery. I think Serrano wins that fight 6-4 with the point deduction, so really 6-3. So it's, I really was not a fan of that decision. I think that that's a pretty common take, is that Amanda Serrano won the fight. I think that probably 90-95% of people would agree with that. And she obviously comes out with a big cut from the headbutts, you know, intentional or not. But, you know, this is a trilogy where it doesn't feel like Katie Taylor's up 2-0. In fact, it almost feels like Amanda Serrano should be the one who's up more. Because you look at that first fight, that one, it's 50-50 in the result. You could say either 1-1 or it's a draw. Second one, it feels like it's clearly Amanda Serrano. So in a way, it's almost like Katie Taylor shouldn't be up at all. Shouldn't have any wins. I do think she's okay. It's okay for her to have the win in the first fight. That's okay. But Amanda Serrano definitely won that second fight. That was a robbery. It should be one apiece. But regardless, we're going into this fight. Who wins? I think that we've seen a little bit more of aging in Katie Taylor in the last few fights than we have with Amanda Serrano. Amanda Serrano is the lighter fighter. She usually is a featherweight. Katie Taylor is a now super lightweight. Although I will mention that at the weigh-ins, this is of course at a catch weight for 136, even though it's for the titles at 140. That Amanda Serrano came in a little bit heavier. She came in at 136 on the dot. Katie Taylor came in like 135.8, I want to say. So it is interesting there. Obviously, I think that Katie's going to go up in weight more. But we'll see. I think that I seriously do think that if Amanda had the extra minute, like she likes to have, she had 3-minute rounds, she would have a lot more success in these fights, because there's been so many times. How many rounds in their first 2 fights was it where Katie, it gets hurt and it seems like she's about to go down and then the round ends? It's happened like 4 times. And I'm sure it'll happen again tonight. And, you know, and this is why it's tough for me, because I do feel like a lot of the odds are in Amanda Serrano's favor just from the last fight. I think that she had the better performance last time. And I know that it's going to be a phenomenal fight. Every single time they're in the ring together, it's just absolute magic. It's incredible. All 20 rounds they've shared have been spectacular. They've had 2 fights of the year. And I can't wait for this trilogy. It's hard to pick because, you know, I mean, Amanda Serrano isn't the bigger fighter. She isn't the overall better resume. She isn't the, you know, all these things that if like Katie Taylor on paper should win, but she isn't up 2-0, you know, and I don't want to be silly for picking Amanda Serrano in the first fight, picking her in the second, although I actually did think that Katie Taylor would win the second fight, and she did, but not really. But I'm going to pick Amanda Serrano tonight. We'll see how it goes. I'm not super confident in it, but I think that the cards are better in her favor. I think that she's in a better spot of her career. And yeah, I think that if either of them, I think that if either of them win tonight, you can hang it up. I think there's more fights for Serrano. As for Taylor, there's really not a lot left. It is interesting to see, will there be a fourth fight? I think that if Katie wins, there's no shot of a fourth fight. And I think also if Katie wins, there's a good shot she retires. The only fight I see for her to continue is a trilogy with Chantel Cameron or moving up to welterweight and fighting somebody like Lauren Price. That's the only possibility I see her continuing, and I don't even know if that's really going to happen. I think she may be done with it. But if she loses, I think that there's a very good chance we see a fourth fight. I think Amanda would oblige a fourth fight. Which would be nuts. But for now, let's just say about the third. Right now, they're saying it's only going to be 3. As for if Amanda Serrano wins, again, like I said, we could see a fourth fight. I think the Alicia Baumgardner fight is right there. I think that there's a reason why that's the co-main event. And I think that's a phenomenal fight right there. In fact, let's just move on to that. Jennifer Miranda will challenge Alicia Baumgardner for her undisputed super featherweight titles. I'm not really too familiar with Miranda. This is the only world title fight on the card where I don't know both of them. I don't think I've ever seen Miranda fight before, so I don't want to undersell her. But Alicia Baumgardner is a top pound-for-pound women's fighter, and I just kind of doubt that she'll lose this fight. I could be wrong, but I think that this is very much a layup fight for Baumgardner to come through, look good on Netflix, and the next fight, should Serrano win, Serrano versus Baumgardner, both MVP fighters, 2 of them, probably maybe you could say MVP's 2 biggest female stars. And I would love to see that fight take place next, especially with Amanda having gone up more size now. She can go up to 130. She can go down, I guess, to 130 and have that fight. I love that, but I think Baumgardner wins. If she does it inside the distance, we'll see. She definitely does have a lot of power. I don't know. I mean, I kind of have the feeling that none of the fights on this card will go inside the distance, just because you don't really see a ton of knockouts in women's boxing. In fact, even on the Jake Paul Mike Tyson card, those were mostly men's fights and they all went the distance. So maybe that's just like a Netflix thing. We're just gonna go see all 10 rounds here. But yeah, I'm gonna pick Baumgardner. As for the next fight, Savannah Marshall, Shadasia Green, it's a really good fight. Green's been waiting for this opportunity to fight another big name. Marshall hasn't fought in the boxing ring in over 2 years now. She did have one PFL fight last summer, but even that wasn't too great from her. And then, you go into this fight, and she's been out of the ring for 2 years. She only has one of her belts left because all the other ones got stripped of her for inactivity, of course. In fact, the belt that Shadasia Green is holding is because Savannah Marshall vacated it, and Shadasia Green fought for the vacant belt. So this is a unified IBF WBO title. IBF WBO and Ring Magazine championship, I should say. And I'm going to be honest, I think Savannah Marshall wins this fight, even though she may be rusty in there, and I think that it could take her a bit. We could see a little bit of ring rust in there potentially. But I don't know. Shadasia Green has really not looked great at all in any of her last few fights. If you go back to the Franchon Cruz DeZern fight, that was, of course, the only fight she's lost as a pro. Obviously, she didn't look good there. Didn't go her way. Fight after that, she fought Melinda Watpool. She fought Natasha Spence next. Didn't look super good in that. Then she fought Melinda Watpool for the vacant belt, fight that I thought could have gone the other way. So she hasn't been super impressive as of late, whereas Savannah Marshall is, dominated Franchon Cruz DeZern. Or maybe not dominate, but clearly beat her. When Cruz DeZern, I don't know if she clearly dominated Green, although she did win that fight pretty well. I don't know. I think that Marshall wins this fight, is what I'm saying. I feel pretty confident in that pick. I just think that she has more pedigree, more skill, more. I think she's a better all-around fighter, genuinely. So I don't see a way that Green wins this fight, really, outside of the power, because she does have quite a punch. 11 KOs and 15 wins. She hasn't gotten herself a stoppage since 2023 in February. So before she even signed with MVP, since then it's been all decisions. So maybe that power is dissipating, but we'll see, man. I think that we see Savannah Marshall put on a good performance. First fight of the main card, another unified championship between Eli Skadny and Yamileth Mercado. IBF, WBC, WBO, and Ring Magazine super bantamweight titles. Hell of a fight. Probably the best fight in the division. Yamileth Mercado is undefeated since her loss to Amanda Serrano 4 years ago. Ellie Scottney 10-0, coming off some great wins. She's the unified champion, but Yamileth Mercado still holds the WBC. This is a fantastic fight. Just all the fights on this card are so good, but I'm picking Ellie Scottney to win this fight. I am. I just think that she really is the star of the division. I think that she's just starting out, and I think she's got a really solid career ahead of her. I'd love to see the Sky Nicholson fight. But she's got to get through a very tough challenge in Mercado, by far her toughest fight as a pro. So I'm looking forward to that. You also have now the undisputed championship between Shernika Johnson and Sharetta Metcalf. Dina Thorsland did hold the WBC and WBO belts, and she is the best in the division still, but she's now pregnant and can't fight, so she vacated those belts, and they're on the line here. I think this is a great fight. I think that Shernika Johnson wins it, though. You look at Sharetta Metcalf, her 2 fights that she's had with the belt have been against Miyo Yoshida, 2 fights that can be disputed and say, did she really win those? She's very, very slim, and Shernika Johnson has got a good punch on her. She's, the way that she stopped Nina Hughes, I think that she could even stop Sharetta Metcalf potentially. I'm very much going to pick Shernika Johnson to win this fight. This is what I'm saying. These fights outside of the main event are very, very good, but they all have somebody that I'm confident wins the fight. So I think Johnson wins that fight, but I think it could be good. Another third of the undisputed title fights. It's crazy. You also have Chantel, and that's on the prelims. You have an undisputed championship on YouTube. That is unbelievable. Chantel Cameron versus Jessica Kamara. Again, I'm picking Cameron to win this fight. Jessica Kamara had a world title opportunity against Caroline Dubois earlier this year. She did not look good in it at all. It was declared a draw because it was, an accidental cut, I think, stopped the fight after 2 rounds, so they just called it a draw. I thought that would have been no contest, but it was a draw. And, it is what it is. But she was getting soundly beaten in that fight, so I consider that a loss. Chantel Cameron's only ever lost to Katie Taylor, and she also was a win over Katie Taylor. She's still a very, very good fighter. And I don't know, I feel like she's been kind of waiting for another big fight. She gets through this. Maybe she gets it against Katie Taylor. But I think that Cameron wins this one. Pretty confident in that. You also got Ramla Ali returning against Lila Furtado. This should be a layup fight for her to win this. And then maybe she gets a shot at the winner of Ellie Scottney, Yamileth Mercado, because she's also in the 122-pound division. So we'll see. That's an 8-rounder. Not too familiar with Furtado, but Ali is 9-2, coming off a loss to Yamileth Mercado. So we'll see how she does in there. But, yeah, should be an interesting one. And then opening up the card is Tam Thibault, the very, very solid Canadian prospect, only 2-0, against Mary Casamesa, who's 6-0. And Casamesa is number 1 with all 4 sanctioning bodies. So this is really a title eliminator. So Thibault is going in deep in her 3rd fight. This is incredible. She's very, very solid as a pro and very fun to watch. And she's going to be challenging for really mandatory status here. So she wins this, she could get a title shot. She could be fighting Savannah Marshall, Shadeja Green, Franchon Cruz-Dezern next. It's unbelievable, but it's true. And yeah, I'm excited to see that fight a lot. This is a very big test for her as a pro, but I think that she'll probably come through with it. She's been nothing but stellar so far in her, I think, 6 rounds competed as a pro, and I can't wait for this. It is 3-minute rounds, so it's going to be fighting with men's rules, which is great that they're putting this on such a big show. And yeah, man, I'm excited for it, but I got the Bolt winning that. So it's going to be a really good night of boxing. I can't wait. We do have more events this weekend, which I'm going to break down tomorrow. You've got Ring Magazine 3, which I mentioned, UFC Nashville with Derek Lewis, Taliesin Teixeira, BKFC 78 with Luis Perdomo returning. We are going to talk about that presser here. I'll just run through the big notes. Mike Perry is returning October 11th. We don't have an opponent or a venue left or even a broadcaster. We don't know if it's going to be like DAZN, if it's even going to be big enough for a pay-per-view. We'll see. For me, I think it's pretty clear you do the Dave Mundell fight. They were having a great go at each other in the press conference. Get Perry to fight in an actual BKFC title fight that you have him fight an actual bare-knuckle fighter. That's a great one, but I'm excited to see that he's coming back to BKFC. $25 million tourney. Looks very interesting. I think the winner is going to get $15 million, and you go down the places, everybody's going to get paid well. $1 million. I can pull up the rules, but it looks like they're going to be paying very, very well throughout the entire tournament in total. I mean, obviously, like I said, the winner is going to get $15 million. Second place will get $1 million. Third and fourth place was $500,000. Fifth through eighth place, $300,000. 9 through 16, $200,000. 17 through 32, $100,000. So even if you don't win a fight, you get $100,000. Alternates get $50,000. Crazy. So it looks like it's a 32-man tournament. Really looking forward to that. They've also signed Yoel Romero, huge signing. Excited to see when he'll debut, and he's going to be a force in the BKFC ring. They're going to give every fighter equity if you are a champion or you have like at least 10 fights with them, so like a true BKFC vet, then you will get equity in the promotion, which is incredible. And then lastly, they're going to be returning to Italy on October 25th. They had a great show there in April. And yeah, man. So really cool champion summit they had. It was a crazy press conference. I didn't watch it, but I did see the highlights, and it looked like it was just nuts. Some big fights set up, some big announcements, and yeah, man. I think this is a really cool concept for them to do, and they should continue doing this. Maybe they'll inspire more promotions to do the same. We also will have the Pro Box TV event tomorrow, headlined by Vlad Hernandez versus Francisco Verón. But I also do want to say that we did get an update on Lester Martinez, and he is. Those migraines are actually like a pinched nerve, and essentially they're saying that it could be very worrying for a boxer, and it really did not sound great. But Gary Jonas says it will now that they're getting him the neurological help that he needs, it will be a non-issue going forward in his career. Since it's a nerve issue rather than a brain injury, it won't impact Lester's ability to continue boxing once properly managed. So he'll probably be out of the ring for a while. I doubt he'll be able to make that September 13th date against Christian and Billy. But, it's good he's getting the help he needs. It is a little bit worrying. You kind of want to question, okay, should you really still fight? Maybe not. But boxers are stubborn, and we'll see, man. But it is good to see that he can at least get it solved, whether he fights again or not. Just a crazy story. Okay, now let's hop into some news. We've got a lot to talk about. Naoya Inoue, Murodjon Akhmadaliev has been announced for September 14th. No mention from Top Rank. No mention from Matchroom. It's so weird that they don't promote the fights out there until later. I think that the reason Matchroom's not promoting it or not talking about it is because they are trying to get that fight locked in on DAZN. Obviously, Top Rank's deal with ESPN is up end of July. I think that's why Top Rank hasn't talked about it, because Top Rank has no plans for future shows as of right now, while they're still trying to find a broadcaster at the last hour. But, yeah, I mean, this is still a really good fight. I'm excited for it. It's one that I do see Inoue winning. I'm glad that he finally is fighting MJ. And, yeah, man, it should be a good one. I think it's the best fight in the division, but I still think Inoue is going to win it with flying colors. He gets through this. He goes to Picasso in December, and then it's Nakatani next year, man. And he says he wants that fight, so that's good to hear. Also on the fight card, you're going to have Yoshiki Takei versus Christian Jimenez for the WBO bantamweight title. It's a good fight. Good to see Takei back in the ring just a few months after his big win a few weeks ago against Yutapong Tongdi. And they're also going to have Ryusei Matsumoto versus Yuni Takada, and that'll be for the WBA regular minimum weight title. Now, the regular titles are already stupid, but doing that at minimum weight is absurd. That's so crazy. But whatever, it's another world title fight, and I don't know. Every single time I see a regular, I just kind of consider it an interim and just hope that they fight the super champion ASAP. But fortunately, we don't always get to see that. We had some drug cheats caught out. Francisco Chihuas Rodriguez. Adverse finding found. He was on PEDs. Another Eddie Reynoso fighter. Listen, we need to start investigating. Literally all of Eddie Reynoso's fighters have been popped for PEDs. It's crazy. So we definitely need to get something going there, get some investigation, check those medicine cabinets, because there is a pattern there when so many of his world championship fighters get popped for performance-enhancing drugs. It's crazy. But this is just funny because I know that a lot of the British commentary and fans were accusing him of being on PEDs without any like real evidence besides just like eye test, and saying like, how is he keeping up this pace and how is he so ferocious for so long? And some people were like, oh, you guys are just hating because you're British, and there's like other Brits saying this, but like, you guys are just saying this because you wouldn't say this if it wasn't a Brit getting beat up. And then it comes out, oh crap, they were right. Like, how'd they know that? They were able to spot it, man. I wasn't thinking that, but I also wasn't like, I don't know, like, it's always possible, but I myself was not forming any opinion about that. I just thought that he won a good fight, and it was a crazy performance, and I thought he looked like a monster. Now we see, wow, he really was a monster. Yeah. Hopefully he gets overturned to a no contest. It just sucks for Galal Yafai because he took a beating in that fight, and it wasn't even fair, and his corner should have pulled him out, and they didn't, and he took so much damage, which is really going to affect his career. But yeah, man, and it wasn't fair. It wasn't fair that he had to go through that. So that sucks. Imam Katayev, who's also built like an absolute unit and has a fight this weekend, has been popped for PEDs by the ITA. So it's the IBA. He's been banned from fighting with them for years, I'm guessing. And the Tiger is strongly denying any use of this and said no further comment will be made because obviously he had the press conference this weekend, and I was seriously disappointed at this press conference. Obviously, they had no media ask questions, which I think is a shame because the first question that should have been asked is, Mom, are you on PEDs? Like, you just got popped for PEDs. How are you allowed to fight this weekend? I get it. It's a different sanctioning, different commission, whatever. But there's no way that we can allow somebody to get caught on drugs, caught on PEDs, and then allowed to fight just somewhere else. That's crazy. It's unbelievable. It's wild. Just seriously disappointing as a sport. And he's still fighting this weekend against David Morrell in what is still a great fight, but it's just crazy. Turki X Jake and Jake Paul. They've squashed the beef, man. And yeah, it looks like it's going to be we don't know what their plans are, but it doesn't sound like they're squashing the beef. It sounds like they're working on something. I have no idea what this is, if it's a fight for Jake Paul, if it's Jake convincing Turki to put more women's fights on, if it's Turki convincing Jake to fight somebody. I don't know. Only time will tell, but it is good to see that more power heads of boxing are coming together. The only guy that's not on Turki's payroll now, and I don't want to say Jake's on Turki's payroll, but the only guy who's not in good graces with Turki is Gervonta Davis. He's the only one. Which, by the way, I saw a report on Twitter, I don't know if it's true, that Gervonta got arrested in Florida. Is that true? For hitting his girlfriend? I don't know if that's old. I don't know if that's made up. But I feel like that should be a bigger story, and it's just so disappointing how I don't even know. He's supposed to have a fight. Is he fighting Lamont Roach? That fight is 1 month away, apparently. We have no announcement. Oh, my God. It's just so weird. It's so weird. Anyways, next tidbit of news. Anthony Kakache has a back injury and is out of the Raymond Ford fight, which is just a month away, it's actually the same day as the Tank Roach fight, apparently. But that sucks. Hopefully they can get a replacement in for Ford. Either like the Sugar Nunes fight. I don't know if they can make that on a month's notice. But you have Albert Bell there as well, but I think he does have a fight booked now. I don't know. I'd like to see Ford stay on the card, but only time will tell. And that sucks because that was the most competitive fight on the card. Because you look at it, Tama's going to beat up White. Ball is likely going to beat up Goodman, I think. That's a close fight, too. Hrgovic is going to beat up Adelaide. Tutsumi's going to beat up Ashfaq. So that was really the only fight where it was like, ooh, I don't know who wins this one, man. And it sucks. But hopefully, they said they're hopeful he can fight by the end of the year. So that's good. Boots has officially vacated his IBF title. Not WBA yet for whatever reason, but he's vacated IBF. And it has been announced that Crocker vs. Donovan 2 has been agreed and confirmed for the world title. Man, this is going to be awesome. No date and venue yet. I'm telling you right now, this is going to be in a stadium fight. On the poster, they had it said, watch this space. They're going to do something big for it. It's so much bigger this time around. They had a huge fight in Belfast, but then you have all the controversy of that fight and how it ended. And Crocker being declared the winner after Donovan hits him too late and gets disqualified after he is beating him up brutally for 8 rounds. And then now it's for the world title. Now there's just so much more controversy. The rematch, it's going to be in a stadium. It's going to be in a stadium, and it's going to be insane. I cannot wait for that. That's honestly top of my list for the fights I have that we've got coming up later this year. It's not the number one, but like it's up there for fights I'm excited for. It's going to be great. The British Boxing Board of Control, hey, Chris Eubank Jr., they found him 10,000 more pounds for misuse of social media. What are we doing here? Why are they finding this guy so much? Like, they find him specifically over the dumbest shit. And this one is because he suggested use of using a sauna. Obviously, they were worried that he was using a sauna, which is not allowed in his weight cut. But he didn't. He didn't. But they're suing him, or not suing him, fining him for making it seem like he did. It's just so stupid, man. It's so stupid. I don't even know. Luckily, he's got the money to do it, but it's just... They're just such a clown, man. The Jag Catterall Rick Reno stuff. This was so weird. Rick Reno is the COO, I think is his name, or is I don't know what he is. But he's something with the Ring magazine. He's like the president there, and they put him up the press conference. They call him like Versace Rick, and he's such a goon. He's such a weird, goofy looking guy, and he comes onto the stage and he has the opening words, and he's talking about, Well, we're definitely going to have a lot more, no more Jerry and Jerry like we saw with Jack Catterall, Harlem Eubank that last weekend. Didn't that freaking suck, huh? They had so bad they had Eddie Hearn for the rematch, and he said F off. They had him headed for the exit sign after the decision. And it was like nobody laughed, and Eddie was just like, what? It was so like weird and like targeted because I know Turkey has this whole thing against like Tom and Jerry stuff and calling it Jerry and Jerry, and when Turkey says it, it's funny, but this guy is just this guy just licks Turkey's arsehole, and he was just like saying all this stuff, and it was not funny. And he did another weird comment later on. He's just so weird. And then Jack Catterall just posted and said, "I'm so sorry I've disappointed this man," with just a funny picture of him. Like, oh man, that was good from Catterall. But then Turkey, responded with just like the laughing emojis and stuff and said, "Look, man, like let's talk, let's get you a fight." And Jack said, "Oh yeah, November, October time, December time, I'm ready. Whoever it is, you can even restrict feints and jabs in the contract," which I thought was funny. Listen, Jack Catterall is one of the sport's most boring fighters. He is, but it was just so unnecessary for Reno to make those comments. They brought nothing to the press conference. It was completely unrelated. It was just weird. It was really, really weird. They should get him off the press conferences. He has no point in being there, and he just says weird shit like that. Khamzat retiring after DDP. Apparently, there's a rumor that Khamzat Chimaev is looking to retire if he beats Dricus du Plessis on August 16th. It's going to be a great day for combat sports, man, if we get all these events. But anyways, yeah, he has had a lot of health issues, a lot of issues in general in his career. I'm not sure how old he is, but maybe he's just feeling like, man, I don't know if I really want to do this anymore. And I get it. But we'll see what he decides to do. He's still got, he's still like fully there and shit, and it's not like he needs to retire or anything. He's still top of the division. Look, if he wins, I kind of want to see him fight Nasruddin Imavov and fight Kyle Barajo and fight this division and stuff. But we'll see, man. We'll see. He's been waiting for his title fight for so long, and he finally gets it. It seems like if he loses, he's going to keep going, which is interesting. But we'll see. It's just a rumor. Not sure if it's fake or not. UFC have announced that they will be coming to Qatar on November 22nd, their first time there. The card is going to be stacked because it's another Middle Eastern card, and they always stack those cards like crazy. You look at Abu Dhabi, you look at the Riyadh season cards, it's crazy. Speaking of Riyadh season, this is going to be the same date and time as the Ring 4 card, so that definitely sucks, but it is what it is. Dustin Poirier said he wanted the Ilia Topuria fight for his retirement. The UFC said no. That's good. They're saving him from a terrible loss, but Dustin ducks no smoke, and he wanted that. That's great. Announcement. Oslis Iglesias versus Vladimir Shishkin is official for September 4th. IBF super middleweight final eliminator for the world title held by Canelo Alvarez. It's a good fight, man. Really, really good fight. Very excited for that. Iglesias is an absolute monster. Shishkin arguably beat Skull from what I hear. I didn't watch that fight, but I heard it was a horrible fight, but Shishkin should have gotten the nod. So this is definitely the toughest test for both, I think, in their careers, and I'm looking forward to it a lot. I think Iglesias will likely come out on top, but it's a really, really solid fight. Speaking of world title stuff, Gary Antoine Russell is looking to return in October. He's saying that he wants the winner of Alberto Puello Subriel Matias going down on tomorrow night. I think that makes sense. He obviously is going to want that rematch against Puello. He's going to want to fight Subriel Matias. It's a huge power punching fight, but and it's also unification. But I think that one's a little bit too tough to make. Obviously, he is ordered to fight Andy Hiraoka, and that's kind of the backup. I think that's what it'll probably be, and I'm still down with that fight. That's still a great fight. Brandon Royval versus Brandon Moreno 3 has been verbally agreed for UFC No Chance September 13th. I don't believe in the verbally agreed, but that is the fight to make, I think. Good trilogy. Probably number one contender fight. I say you book it. Raquel Pennington versus Norma Dumont targeted for that card as well. It's turning into a really, really strong card. Raul Rosas Jr., Rob Font. These two fights. Diego Lopez, John Silva in the main event, of course. It's going to be a good one, I think, for a fight night. What else? Frank Warren says that Dave Allen is a real option for a 5v5 where he would face Joseph Parker. Man, can we stop doing this? Like, it's actually ridiculous. Joseph Parker should not be fighting anybody that is not in the top 5 of the division. Why are we talking about Dave Allen? I don't get why Dave Allen gets so much, he's getting so much from the Johnny Fisher win. It's insane. But you know what, man? Kudos. Good for you. It's wild. There's a rumor that Oscar Collazo will be facing the WBO number one Ronald Chacon on September 6th. I hope so, man. He needs to fight way more often. With how fast his fights are and how good he is, I just want to see him fight all the time. He said he wanted to fight like 5 times in 1 year, and this would be his second fight of the year. Maybe he can get a third one in by the end of the year. I don't know, but he's a fantastic fighter, and they need to build him up more. He also needs to move up the divisions to get more big name opponents so that he can become a bigger star because he is incredible. And he just dominates everybody at minimum weight. Paul Craig versus Modestas Bukauskas has been announced for September 6th at UFC Paris. It's a really solid fight, I think. Paul Craig obviously coming off that really weird occurrence in Atlanta. I was there for that. It was really, really weird. So good to know that they're getting him getting a fight in for him very, very soon. And yeah, man, that should be a good one. We also, speaking of MMA, we have the official main card for the PFL finals on August 1st. So it's going to be Thad Jean versus Logan Storley for the welterweight belt, and Jesus Pinedo versus Movlid Khaibulaev versus the featherweight belt. And those are good fights. Outside of that, really not a lot else going on. The rest of the main card is Asael Adjouj versus Yves Landu and Jordan Newman versus Islam Abdul Basset. The card is just really not that great, if I'm being honest. It's very disappointing. I thought they were going to have more big names, more guys from out the tournament on it, but it's really not a great card for the finals, and I'm a little bit disappointed. Matchroom announced that Jake Wiley versus Yusuf Dib is going to go down on August 23rd in Australia. I don't know if that's a Tasman card. Maybe it is, but that's an okay fight, I guess. I know Dib gave Liam Wilson a good fight, and Jake Wiley's coming off giving George Kambosos a good fight. So it's whatever. It's an okay fight. Wiley was obviously signed by Matchroom, and they want to invest more in Australia. I'm sure Terry Mowana, Sky Nicholson will be on this card, maybe even Justice Hooney. But yeah, that's a little bit. That feels like an undercard fight. Not like a main event, but I'm guessing it's a small card. But if Sky Nicholson's on this card, she should be the main event of that. Mick Conlon versus Jack Bateson has been announced for the September 5th at the 3 Arena. I don't know what happened to doing the Lorente fight for the European. I don't know what happened at the Josh Warrington fight, but now we have this, which is much more in Wasserman's vein. But hey, you know what? They're going to put on a big event. They're trying to do. Wasserman has scaled back in the amount of events they've done in the past few years, and they're just trying to do bigger events, which they still don't do a ton of big. Their events are still not big. They're trying to do more arenas type fights with a lot of their better fighters on the card and more meaningful main events. Their stars headlining, and this is a good one. We'll see. We got some British Boxing Board of Control circular updates. Mark Dickinson versus Troy Williamson for the English super middleweight title will be August 9th in Newcastle. We've heard about this, but it seems like it's happening. We just haven't gotten the announcement yet. I think Matchroom's about to make a big announcement this week with their next schedule. Kieran Conway versus George Liddard for the British middleweight title, and Junaid Boston versus Bilal Fawaz 2 for the English super welterweight title is going to happen October 11th in Sheffield. So it seems like this is another Matchroom show. It seems like it's all agreed. Happy to see Conway Liddard is happening. That's a fantastic fight. And Boston Fawaz 2, we've been waiting on that one for a while. And then also Louis Edmondson has been ordered to fight Ezra Taylor for the British title at light heavyweight. Purse bids August 13th. Phenomenal fight. One that I think Ezra Taylor probably wins. Edmondson obviously has to get through Daniel Lappin this weekend, but that doesn't even have the British next weekend, but that doesn't even have the British on it. And Edmondson's not going to win that fight. So regardless, he'll have to defend his British against Ezra Taylor. But yeah, I think that's a solid fight. Salida Promotions have signed former champion Tony Harrison, who's 29-4-1. He'll be the co-main event on July 26th against Edward Diaz, who's 15-6. Not a huge signing, but it's very much Salida. Yeah, we'll see where they go with that, but I don't know how much he really has left in his career, and it doesn't seem like they're going to put him in with top opposition. But we'll see. Maybe he'll sell some tickets. Gabe Rosado is returning August 2nd. Really interesting what's going on in his career. He's asked for some big fights, but he hasn't really – I don't think he's had a pro fight in like over 2 years, I think, or almost 2 years. And he's really come into his own as like a DAZN commentator and stuff like that. I feel like he should just stick to that lane. He does it all the time. He's like one of like their main guys, but he's still fighting. Obviously, I know he had an exhibition recently, and now he's got a pro fight. So we'll see, man. I don't really know what the point is in continuing, but I think you can just hang him up and do the commentary. Jalil Hackett will be a member of this sparring club going down, held by The Ring. So I thought this was going to be super under the radar stuff, but he's calling it a side quest. these aren't like just all grassroots prospects. So some like real prospects are like, I'm trying to get on this card, and that's cool to see. So hopefully he gets on there and gets on the on the Canelo Crawford card. But I think that they're looking for people who don't have a name like him. Jill Hackett was fighting in 10 rounders and is a legitimate top prospect in America. They're looking for guys that nobody knows about and don't even have pro records yet. So we'll see. Jim Lampley is going to be on the play-by-play on Saturday night. Seems like he's replacing Todd Grisham. Apparently, this was a last-minute deal that they did, and I think it's a little bit messed up because Todd Grisham is already on the team. He's already been in New York City doing all the stuff, and he's kind of gotten pushed out of the way. And now it's going to be Jim Lampley taking over. And even though you can say Jim Lampley's better, I just think it's kind of messed up that Grisham was ready to go and he's part of this team all week, and now he's not going to be on the broadcast. It's crazy. And then lastly, Kira Makogonenko, not too familiar with her, will be fighting at the open workouts next week for Alexander Usyk, Daniel Dubois too. So they're really taking inspiration here, and other promotions are like, yeah, for big events, let's do that. Obviously, it started with Riyadh season. They did it in LA. They did it in Wembley. They did it in Riyadh. And now MVP just did it this week. Now Queensberry's doing it at Wembley. I love it. I think this is so cool. I think this is a really, really fun concept to do, doing the public workouts and having live fights there, putting some prospects on. And yeah, this is great. Hopefully this means that we're going to get more Queensberry fighters on the undercard. Usyk Dubois too, I think we've given up on it. It's next week, and it's just a horrendous undercard. There's like no fights on it. But it is what it is. And yeah, but that's all I've got for today. Like I said, another episode coming out tomorrow morning where we'll break down whatever happens tonight on this historic card. We'll do a real preview for the Ring Magazine 3 card. We'll do a preview for the rest of the fights this weekend. We'll talk about the press conference that goes down today for Ring 4. And yeah, man, thank y'all so much for listening. Peace out. Enjoy the fights tonight, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.